Okay. So there will be a link coming off of here. Yeah, there we are. Okay, so if you scroll down a little bit, we should be able to hit share. And the link that we want is this one. So copy that.
Okay.
And
so there will be a link coming off of here.
Oh, there's the 20-second delay. Right, so.
Yeah, there we are. Okay, so if you scroll down a little bit, you should be able to hit share. And the link that we want is this one. So
And should I post it on our website?
no, actually, if you go back up into, gosh, it was in the Zoom meeting configuration. So go to Zoom here and preferences.
Let me open up.
Yeah, it'll be on the website. Yep.
The web version.
Right, correct.
I can't edit it because it's
right. More on the right. This one here, and then
I think it's going to automatically do that, isn't it? Like, won't it?
You still have to configure it though. Yeah, can you hit configure to the right? Attendee form. No, that's not it. Okay, cancel that. Watch your webinar. Click more. Choose a service which we did. Oh, you're right. We already did that. Okay.
Yeah. So we said when the webinar has reached capacity, we click this.
And then if you click edit, I think is that where it gives you the link of which? No, that's where you save it. Okay. There's one other place that we had to put the link.
I think they just hit something and it takes them there.
It just takes you there, right?
Like it must know the link.
Well, because you put it in there, right? You know, it's go live. I mean, it's live now.
Right. So I mean, I could post it on the website here. I say just leave it.
But just leave it. I mean, if we know that we have the YouTube stream afterwards.
Right.
But if you go to YouTube, I do want you to turn off the comments on that just to avoid any.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Who knows what we'll end up with over there. Yeah, it's interesting that there's two of them.
Oh, this one might be from.
Oh, that must be from earlier when we were testing it out. So if you go to the three dots on the one at the top, that one, yeah. And do we have anything for as far as settings go for that? We'll get
it's interesting that there's two of them.
Oh, this one might be from.
Oh, that must be from earlier when we were.
Okay, cool. And then let's see if you scroll. Where are the settings for it? Is there in the actual Zoom video? Is there anything in the settings tool there? Play payments fees? No, that's for the actual video. Can you scroll up? Unless it's over here to the side someplace.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I kind of. It might be.
Oh, wait, what was that with the create? Was there anything under there?
It's like uploading a.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Might be under this. Like this. I thought when it's in that view.
Oh,
when
I
you
see.
it, I thought you could.
Right. You can change some of the settings there.
I don't know.
It's not under edit video.
Edit video.
Sure. Oh, this is right. Okay. Schedule, thumbnail, playlist. Oh, good. Yeah, this is what we want. Okay. Made for kids. You can put the restriction on there. And then you should be able to hit show more and then promotions, none of those. Oh, here, comments and tags, ratings. So we can click where that says, yeah, we want to hide that. We don't want to enable live chat. If you click this comment visibility, what? Yeah, there we go. Good. Good.
Okay.
Nice. I'm going to hide my picture. I realize it still has that one on there.
Do you think I should start it now? 6:15.
Yeah, let's take 15 minutes until we start it up. Yeah, if you're comfortable with how the presentation looks, yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to our town hall meeting this afternoon, or this evening, I should say. I'm Michael Behrman, the superintendent of schools, and I truly thank you for joining us. Excuse me, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen right away. And once again, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you being here. If for some reason you have to duck out early, the session is being recorded, so you'll be able to access that on the website. Again, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules and hectic lives to join us tonight. Why a town hall? Well, no doubt, these are very challenging times for everybody. I think they're taxing us all in terms of the whole spectrum, work-related, family-related, obviously health-related, and just a high anxiety time for everybody. It's an ever-changing landscape. What we talk about today might not necessarily be true tomorrow or was true yesterday or last week. Things are changing quickly, and this is true in all facets of our lives, but especially in school life. There's a lot of information coming at us. I'm sending out almost, it seems like daily emails, sometimes twice a day, with an update on our COVID situation. So much is coming at us. We're faced with a lot of decisions, whether to enroll our child in online virtual education for second semester or to go face to face. And sometimes we are kind of forced to make decisions that are not 100% perfect either way. So it's a lot of information. It's challenging on all of us. I realize that. In a perfect world, we would do a town hall virtually, not virtually. We would do it face to face in an auditorium and really invite a lot of audience participation. It's hard to do that in a virtual town hall meeting. So unfortunately, a lot of this is going to be didactic with me presenting some information, then allowing you to ask questions through a question and answer format. Everybody's going to stay muted throughout the town hall tonight, and that's for security measures. We don't want somebody bombing our meeting or anything like that. And before I go any further, I would be remiss if I didn't thank our students, staff, and parents. You've showed resilience this year. And you showed the ability to overcome and still engage in learning throughout all the challenges. And that makes me very proud of our school community. In particular, I'd like to thank our staff. They truly are frontline workers. Probably none of them went into education knowing that they would be confronted with the challenges that they are today, whether it's teaching in a different manner, whether it's knowing that you're coming to school every day with some risk of becoming infected with COVID, or other types of things. It's certainly a challenging time to be an educator, and no matter what role a person has in a school, whether it's support staff, educator, teacher, principal, bus driver. It's a challenging time. So the format of our town hall tonight, it's actually going to be co-facilitated by our technology director and moderator, Mr. Chris Ceruto. And I think you might see Chris's mugshot up there. So I have a brief presentation, and then we're going to get into some questions and answers through the Q&A tool in the Zoom webinar. So again, the town hall is being recorded and will be posted on the website. So just to review a few things, the Board of Education approved in August our COVID-19 preparedness and response plan. And that was developed by a task force of 25 people across various stakeholder groups, including staff, administration, parents, community members, and health professionals. So the preparedness and response plan serves the purpose of a roadmap for COVID-19 protocols. What we're going to do, what we're going to, how we're going to put certain safety measures in place, how we're going to report when we do have a positive case of COVID in the school community. That document is available for public access on our website. We also have hard copies at central office that you can come and get. If you want to social distance yourself and wear a mask, you're welcome to come in. We also have another document that's called our Extended COVID-19 Continuity of Learning Plan. And this was required when the Return to Learn law passed in September, early September, actually the end of August. So the Extended COVID-19 Continuity of Learning Plan really details and articulates the manner in which Harbor Springs Public Schools will deliver instruction. It focuses more on the instructional side of things. Our mode of instruction is face-to-face, pre-K through 12, with an online virtual option. Some districts chose remote learning for the entire first semester maybe, or for a temporary, indefinite, maybe period of time. Some districts utilize a hybrid model where students are in school part-time and remote learning part-time. We chose to implement a face-to-face instructional model with a totally online virtual option for those students and parents electing that option. So this plan, as part of the Return to Learn law, is approved on a monthly basis. It's actually called reaffirmed on a monthly basis at board meetings, regular board meetings, the second Monday of every month. So I'd like to share some district data with you in regard to COVID. And this is a district summary. It's not broken down by building, but it lists, it lists by date the number of COVID cases that we've had for that particular date. So we can see that our first COVID case was identified September 16th. And that orange line represents how many cases on a particular day were identified and reported to us. And the green line represents the cumulative number of cases. So for example, the last date that we had a case reported to us was today. So that was added, and therefore one case added, we went from 18 yesterday to 19 today. So those are all the dates at the bottom that cases are reported, and the green bar represents the cumulative number. This graph represents the positive case by types or individuals. So out of those 19 cases, 5 were staff members that had positive cases, and 14 were students that had positive cases. And this graph represents positive cases by building site or school. So you can see one was a non-school, such as a central office person. That might be somebody that works out of my office here, or the bus garage, or the maintenance building. The next category, childcare, that is housed at Blackbird, but we kind of separated that because it's a different operation, if you will, of the building. They occupy their own wing. So that would represent Blackbird childcare. Now, some people might ask, how can you have a half a case? Because you can see Blackbird has 0.5 of a case, and Shea has 2.5. Actually, that's one individual. It's a staff member that services both buildings and spends about equal time in both buildings. That person actually was employed by the intermediate school district and serves in an ancillary role in our schools. So then you see Harbor Springs Middle School with 3 cases, and Harbor Springs High School has 10 cases, and that gives us our 19. Some other data to look at. If we looked at the total number of staff or people quarantined, quarantine would mean either a close contact or they were identified as positive. So every time we have a positive case, or there's a positive case out there in the community that affects our students, we might have students or staff going in on quarantine. In other words, they have to stay home for 14 days. They can't come to school. So this year to date, we've had 23 staff people quarantined. In other words, they were close contacts of somebody, not necessarily in the school setting. It could be outside of the school setting. Most often it is, but somebody was identified them as being a close contact, 6 feet or less, 15 minutes or more. So total students quarantined for the year to date, 211. So altogether, if you added those two figures up, we'd have about 234 students and staff total quarantined for some period of the school year so far. That does not include the school closure that we had a couple of weeks ago, grades 7 through 12. Those students aren't included in that, nor the current high school school closure. So if we looked at the total number of current quarantine staff, that would be 5, and the total number of current quarantine students is 29. That's of today. That's how many students are presently on quarantine or staff. Now, some of those 29 students are high school students that are home anyways because of the Pause to Save Lives order that, closed high schools through December 8th. So additionally, we don't have what would be labeled as current outbreaks, and that's defined as 2 or more COVID-19 cases who may have shared exposure on school grounds and are from different households. So if a close contact of a person here at school ended up being COVID positive because of their close contacts at school, that would be considered an outbreak. So we don't have any current outbreaks at this present moment. So another thing that I just want to mention before we conclude the brief presentation is that registration for second semester online learning or switching to face-to-face switching to face-to-face from online learning ends December 1st. We extended it actually until November 29th, and then we decided to give it one more day following the town hall tonight and make it end of day tomorrow, December 1st. So if you're presently an online parent of a student that wants to stay online and you haven't completed the enrollment form, you still need to do that. You need to verify that you'll continue online for second semester. Or if you're face-to-face and want to switch to online, again, you'll need to do that by tomorrow. Or if you're face-to-face, if you're online and you want to switch to face-to-face, you need to do that tomorrow as well, or go from face-to-face online. I know I probably confused you so badly. I think I confused myself on that. The only people that don't need to fill out that enrollment form is if you're face-to-face presently and you want to stay face-to-face. We're just going to go ahead and make that assumption. You do not need to fill the form out. So we're going to go ahead and move into the questions and answers section. And we're using a feature tonight called Zoom Webinar. And you'll notice at the bottom, there's not a chat, but there's a Q&A. And what you'll do is you'll write your questions in the question part. Chris is going to come into my room. So we're going to take a brief break here for a few seconds. Chris is going to come into my office and he's going to read those questions to me so that everyone in the audience can hear them, because they won't be able to see them. So I'll stop my screen share.
Pretty quiet at this point. Waiting for some to pop up in here.
So you can go ahead and begin submitting questions. Wait, it says only hosts and channels.
Yeah.
It's okay.
We're just waiting for them to show up. There you go. One raising their hand, Paul is. I'm gonna tell him that he needs to. Please have Paul type in his question into the box. Oh, here we go.
I'm not gonna.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
So is there any evidence of transmission happening at school? We haven't seen that evidence yet. What we're seeing are cases being brought into the school, but we're not seeing that transmission happen yet. I will say that about 4 weeks ago, we were on the school outbreak list, and that was actually incorrectly reported. What happened is we had a student test positive at school, and there was a close contact of that student that there actually was a student at school that also tested positive that was a close contact outside of school for that positive student. So the transmission occurred outside of school, not in school. They were not labeled as close contacts at school. They didn't have classes together. They weren't near each other at school, but they spent some time outside of school. So to date, there hasn't been transmission at school that we know of. At what point does the school close down? That's a really good question. you'll recall several weeks ago, not that long ago, I think November 4th through the 11th, something like that, we closed grades 7 through 12. And that's because we had so many kids quarantined. We had about 150 kids in those grade levels quarantined. And we also had a few staff members quarantined. And we just wanted to prevent any transmission at school. So we just stopped it and said, you know what, we're putting a pause on grades 7 through 12. We will closely monitor it. If we're seeing transmission happen at school, we're going to close it down, you know, at least for a temporary period of time. If we're getting outbreaks here at school, we do need to take some action. If we're getting teachers quarantined because of close contacts and we can't staff those classrooms because there's no substitute teachers available, we're going to have to close some grade levels down, or the district down, or a school down. Those are the types of things that would close school. We're doing our best to keep it open, but we're not going to keep it open if we can't staff it or if it becomes unsafe. How many high school students were online versus face-to-face during last semester? I'm going to say that there were about 40, roughly 40. Will Canvas still be used for second semester, or is there a possibility of a change? For grades K through 7, the plan is still to use Canvas for second semester as the learning management system. That we may have a change in the teachers that teach it. We're looking at staffing right now. That's why we needed to have you folks complete the enrollment forms as soon as possible so we could make some informed decisions that impact staffing for second semester, even though second semester doesn't begin until January 25th. With more data and anecdotal evidence on in school learning and school age risk of COVID since August, how has the COVID plan evolved? What data is our plan based upon? Well, we rely upon the health department, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, certainly CDC. No one in the school setting, least of all me, is an epidemiologist or a scientist. And we rely upon those folks for guidance. Should our plans change? Should we go to a hybrid model? What does transmission in our schools look like in our region? Are we the only ones that aren't seeing transmission? So, we are relying on some other people to do the work that, they subscribe to for their life's work. We're not, I'll be very honest, I'm not analyzing medical journals or looking, combing the internet for the very latest. I do read what comes to us from CDC, articles that get forwarded from other health professionals, but we do rely upon our Health Department of Northwest Michigan, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, and CDC to guide us on doing what's best for our kids. And I think so far it's working. We're not seeing transmission here at school, at least that we know of, tying 2 or more cases together in the school setting. Is the plan to go back face to face if the Michigan Health Department governor leaves it up to the district on December 8th, 2020? If you were to ask me today, I would say yes, that is the plan, but could that change tomorrow or on December 7th? I could say yes, that could change. We just don't know what's happening. It's from day to day. You know, am I concerned about, um, the Thanksgiving holiday and what that could bring in another few days, week, 2 weeks? That is concerning. So we're going to have to wait and see on that. I would say right now, as of this moment, if today was December 8th, I'd say we'd be back at school tomorrow on December 9th. But that's just going to have to wait. How many high school students are virtual for next semester? That I don't know. I haven't looked at the survey that's come back in a couple of days. I can tell you that last week, when I did look at it, it was pretty much a wash. There were some kids that were at the high school level that wanted to go from online to face, and then there were some that wanted to go face to online. So it looked like a pretty even wash. So I'm gonna predict and say about the same. I don't think there'll be a substantial change in either direction. Annual flu is a higher risk to school-age children. Will annual flu outbreaks, non-COVID, following the existing outbreak and quarantine guidelines? Again, I would defer to the health department on that. It's a really good question though, because people have been feeling sick and they've gone and I've known people that have gotten tested a couple of times and they come back with negative tests. And while are those false negatives? The answer could very well be they've got the flu. And that's a great question. Every year we battle with the flu. There's been years, I think last year actually, one of our neighboring elementary schools in a different district closed for a couple of days because of the flu. They had so many kids out and so much transmission going on. So if we're getting a lot of kids absent and sick and they're not showing up positive for COVID, then something else is going on. So that could be. We would confer with the health department and follow their guidance. Are there minimum requirements for high school teachers to have Zoom sessions for interactions with students more than just taking attendance? No. Some teachers are using that as a check-in, and everything's posted in Canvas or directed, or there might be some videos to watch. Then some teachers might Zoom almost the entire 60-minute session. So it looks different. It's very similar. If I walked into a teacher's classroom at the high school for face-to-face, I'm going to see many different teaching styles. I'm going to see a teacher that might lecture one day for the entire class period, and I'm going to see another teacher maybe take attendance, get the kids going for a minute or two, and turn them loose for most of the class. So what I can tell you is as in any situation, if you have a question about something or you're not quite sure why a teacher is doing something, or you have a concern, the best thing to do is ask the teacher. Our teachers are great. They would welcome an email or, to check things out. That's the best course of action. if the high schoolers are virtual on December 9th, instead of going back face to face, can you choose to have your other children stay home, even though they are face to face for this semester? That's a great question, and we're finding that many parents are doing that. I can tell you that when schools open, we feel it's safe for kids to come, and we would hope they do. It's very challenging for a teacher when they've got their face-to-face students and then they have maybe 2 or 3 that are just not coming to school, because now they're doing double duty. They're posting lessons maybe through Canvas, or sending work online or via email to the students that are staying home. And then they are developing lesson plans for their teachers in the classroom. So we're not operating what's called a hybrid model here, where that does happen. Kids come sometimes and they don't other times. We're either face-to-face at this point, or we're totally online and virtual. So we would hope, except the exception being if kids are quarantined because they were close contacts, then of course they should stay home. But that's a parent decision, and we're never going to tell you don't do that. But we do want you to know that it does pose some challenges. How many K-1 students are virtual next semester? Is there much movement between face-to-face and online? That's a great question, and it looks like when I looked at it last week that there wasn't a lot of movement. There were some, a couple shifting to online, then a couple shifting to face-to-face. So I would venture to say it's going to be pretty close to what it is now, within maybe a couple of students in each classroom. Once we have a vaccine, will that be a requirement to attend school? That's a great question. I keep wondering that myself. And I'm going to tell you right now that as far as I know, no, it's not a requirement. It is not. There are required vaccines now, unless a parent gets a waiver. But we've not heard that, at this point anyways, that vaccine will be required to attend school. Do you track positivity of tests for the free testing provided by the district? Total number. Yeah, back, oh gosh, I think it was back actually on September 16th, the day that we had our first case. The district partnered. We didn't sponsor, or we didn't necessarily advocate, but we hosted a free testing provided at the district at the high school, and there were no positive results from our students. I think what this person is asking, we do though, the health department does offer free rapid testing here for our students or staff if they're symptomatic. We have a school nurse, Mrs. Dodge, Jenny Dodge, and she does offer that service. And that's a great question. I don't know the answer to that. I will say that we've had a number of positive tests, as well as a number of negative tests, but I can certainly get that data, and that's something that we can post on the website on our data dashboard. It's a great question, and I'm happy to get that data. I'm just not prepared with it tonight. So a really good question. They're all great questions. Seeing a lot of mental health, depression issues in children. What types of things can we do as a school district to help prevent these issues? And I think that we see it too, and that's one of the reasons why we think it's important to continue face-to-face learning to the extent we can, because certainly when we have students here at school, we can actually see them and talk to them and maybe get a bit better handle on things. We are blessed to have 2 mental health therapists working in the district through the Health Department of Northwest Michigan. Their caseloads are full, but they are always taking on new students, and that's been a great help. They've been they've engaged in teletherapy with some students. For those face-to-face, they're seeing them directly. It's a really, it's an issue that we know, we see, it's out there, and it's one of the reasons, again, why we think having the kids here face to face, to the extent possible, when it's safe, it helps with that, to have that real contact. We've also, the district also has an email flagging system that monitors our own within district email. So every student has a Harbor Springs email account. And we have a program called Bark for Schools that monitors continually the emails that are within our network, our Harbor Springs Public Schools email. And it flags words that are linked to depression, suicide, violence, bullying, drugs, alcohol, and it immediately brings to attention those emails to our district administrators. And that's been a great thing, because we've been able to be proactive and catch something in a student's email, and the principal then or counselor can call the parent and say, hey, just want to bring to your attention this, did you know? Or it could be simply nothing, but it's been great, and it's a few times this year, our administrators have made phone calls and we're able to get some students some help. So, we're trying to get out in front of it. Our counselors at the elementary level go into classrooms routinely to do lessons on wellness and anti-bullying and PBIS, empathy, and there's some great discussions, and that's important too, and that's but that happens at school, and that's why having the kids at school, that's ideal. Any other questions? Okay, some are popping up.
I'll answer Jennifer's and PBIS.
Okay. What are the most important things community members can do to increase the odds that schools stay open in coming months? Well, we're all in this together, and especially as we go into a second round of holiday seasons, the holiday season, it's I think following those CDC guidelines, limiting your social gatherings, staying masked, being outside if you're going to gather, try to do it outside. That's hard to do when it's winter. But you know, we're in it together, and you know, I hate to be somebody that delivers a lecture or you know, but we really need to all help. And you know, before we have that play date or whatever, is that something we really should be doing now? And I get it, because somebody just talked about the mental health aspect. Well, the mental health aspect would be getting kids with their peers to have fun and connect with each other. But yet the safety factor, is that really the smartest thing to do? We have a lot of kids quarantined over the past few days because they were at other people's houses, and oops, that person tested positive. Now they're out of school for 14 days. So we've really got to try to get through it the best we can. You know, and again, I don't want to lecture or preach, but we need your help. For in-person students, in the event school goes remote, why aren't the teachers available and at work during their online class hours to more closely approach an in-person learning experience to monitor and answer student needs? You know, again, that's a really good question. And I think I think when we say why aren't the teachers, are we painting a broad brush on every teacher, or you know, and it would help to know the context a little bit more, but certainly that's a concern, and I would approach the teacher about that. You know, why can't we get a hold of you during the class period? Or certainly having a conversation with the administrator if that doesn't work. But you know, there's a lot going on. It's not easy teaching remotely, virtually, no matter how well you're prepared, is not an easy thing to do. It's a totally different way of teaching, and it what might make sense to us might be very difficult to actually pull off for a teacher. So, you know, I can't comment specifically about the situation other than, again, check it out with the teacher. Hey, I just want to check this out. Would it make sense to, you know, be available during that class period for questions and answers like you are in person? Check it out. All I want to say is thanks so much for your communication and professionalism. I don't know about that, but thank you for mentioning that. I'd probably give myself on everything about a C minus, maybe a D plus, C minus. I don't know. We're all doing the best we can to get through this.
You're a tough grader on yourself. You're doing much better than that.
So kids have suffered a lot of mental loss this year, especially with sports and activities. What types of things are we going to do to ensure that the kids continue to play and be active in a safe manner? I think it's important for the kids to do these activities just for mental health alone. I agree with that. Totally agree with that. But we are also bound by MHSAA guidelines. You know, we're doing what we can to have face-to-face learning. One of our families is having their, is a seasonal, it's a seasonal family, and they decided to make their home Harbor Springs for this school year. And the parent was telling me that they went downstate back to the pediatrician a couple weeks ago just for a checkup or something. And the pediatrician just spoke about what you're talking about, you know, the depression that they're seeing, because almost every school district was remote, no face-to-face learning. And the parent mentioned, well, I can't tell you how happy my student is. You know, they attend Harbor Springs High School. We have face-to-face instruction. And the pediatrician said, what? There's a school district that has face-to-face instruction? How, that's great. Oh my gosh. You know, so most of the school districts in our area do, but the point being that, you know, we want sports to continue. We want activities to happen, but we've got to do our part as a community, also to try to keep positive cases from coming into the schools like they are, because that's probably what's going to shut it down. So we're gonna, when we can play, we're gonna play. That's what I can tell you. When they tell us we can't play or it's not safe, we're not gonna play. Okay, any more questions? It's only 7:16. My wife made some slop soup that I can go home and have. Come on, more questions.
Very good.
You're welcome. I want to thank everybody for attending, and you know, the board meets on December 14th at our next board meeting, and we reaffirm the plan. So the board is going to be asked, you know, do we continue with a face-to-face option or face-to-face learning with a virtual option, or do we do something different? And the board takes this, as you know, very seriously. It's not easy making these decisions. So your input is valued. If you have input that you didn't express today, or thoughts or ideas, send them to me, send them to the Board of Education. They want to hear from you too. Oh, are the online students able to utilize the rapid testing provided by the school? The answer is yes, but we do ask that they are symptomatic. Would you please send out a message the evening of December 7th that confirms that we are returning to face-to-face? Yes, and actually we come back to school on the 9th. The closure is through December 8th, but the community will know about it. You're welcome.
See, told you it's been excellent.
Well, I don't know that the communication has been excellent. It seems I'm writing a lot of letters. I try to change them up a little bit to make them a little different each time, but it's hard to do. Right back at you, who sent that email. You're doing an amazing job.
Yeah, Amber does a fantastic job.
Back at you, Mo. Okay, I'm gonna count down from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5.5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You know where to find me. So let me know if there's anything else. You guys all take care, and thank you for joining us tonight.